At midday on the first day of November 2023, it's time for the public eye on the Bridge 99 FM. Welcome to the Jamaican Posse, wherever you are in the world. Join us for the next 2 hours of strident discussion, of good humor, of information at its best on the public eye. The Honorable Colonel Charles and I are the hosts. Later on in the program, Professor Lewis of the School of Humanities at the University of Technology, Professor Henry Lewis, joins us. He proposed in a column in the Observer newspaper earlier this week that instead of measuring gross domestic product as a sign of growth or decline in the economy, we should develop the criteria for a well-being economy. What does that mean? There's a lot to talk about there. And later on in the program, after 1 o'clock, Ambassador Curtis Ward, retired Jamaican diplomat, weighs in on the sore that is leeching the conscience of the world, that terrible war that's going on between the Palestinians and Israel. It has repercussions for Jamaica, as we have seen, and there's more to come. So that's the agenda, along with good discourse and your calls on the public eye. The numbers are 876-551-5782, and there's another one, 876-676-4996. It's a Bridge 99 FM. Thanks for joining us. Mr. Charles, greetings, sir.
Greetings, and a sad morning for me, sir.
Yes?
One of my former colleague and friend has passed this morning.
Oh, who is that?
Winston Spaulding.
Oh, my goodness, I join you in sadness. Yes. He was part of the New Beginning movement with us, and a colleague at the bar also.
I think he may have lost his job as a result of a presentation he made on me.
Okay.
Positive to me, but
yes,
negative
to those
who want
who
to hear it.
I see. He hadn't been well, had he?
He hadn't been well for quite a while, and I need to congratulate Carol, his wife,
yes,
and her children, they moved to Miami, you know that.
I heard that.
But she stuck with him so
faithfully
while he was here, and I'm sure kept him alive until today.
Good. Winston Spaulding, brother of Anthony Michael Spaulding. Yes, sons of Frank Spaulding, one of the early mayors of Kingston.
A mayor,
yes. And people who spanned the political divide.
Yes, because Winston was a member of the PNP.
Yes, didn't remember that.
And I think an executive member.
Yes. And
then he came over and he became a deputy leader in the Labour Party.
Yes.
And a minister.
He was Minister of National Security.
Right. And Attorney General.
I think so.
Yes, and I was given certain instructions and all that carry out on me, and he phoned it negative and sent me a copy. Oh. And that required him to be changed.
Well, no, listen to that. That's history that we didn't know the details of.
Yes, we're writing it.
But he stuck to his principles and his friendship.
He didn't mind losing anything else. Right?
To his credit.
But what he phoned was that, and he said, Pernell, if I fought against you, to be that supportive of you, that's it.
Yes.
That's it. And he walked away.
Yes. He was a good advocate in the courts.
Yes.
And both he and Tony were lawyers.
Yes.
Different personalities, but same commitment.
Yes.
Strong. Let's examine it for a few more minutes. Strong, working class black people who found their feet in the political arena and in professional development. That's good. That's a kind of surge in the society that you want.
But did they get that from Frank?
Probably.
Because Frank was also a mayor. Was a bit
Probably.
too.
Yes.
And in that area of I don't know what area of Kingston he was.
I think he was in the area that Tony ended up in South St. Andrew. I'm not sure.
One of the things is that they stuck with a certain level of people.
Yes, and Winston represented parts of St. James.
Yes.
As well as parts of St. Andrew.
That's right.
Yes, in his career. But interesting, because it is from, I always admire people who normally you would not expect to aspire to national leadership, when they come forward with a certain dedication, with a certain sacrifice. There's an element of sadness too, because both Tony and Winston had a decline in their mental health later in life.
Yes, and a certain declination too.
Yeah.
Because I think they didn't get to know people afterwards.
Yes.
What do you call that illness?
It's a dementia, isn't it?
Dementia.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we pray for comfort to his family and rest for him.
Yes,
Winston Spaulding.
I certainly would want to.
Yes, I'm glad you raised that.
Carol, that she really did a fantastic job for him,
and part of his legacy too.
Yes,
good.
Yes.
It's for later on. But I'm when you spoke of feeling sad today, I was thinking of the broader scene. I am deeply concerned that in the 21st century, with all of the that science and technology and humanity has brought together, that man's inhumanity to man, humans' inhumanity to other humans, is so raw and blatant in amongst us. I once again, with all of our warts and deficiencies, I am glad, proud, grateful to be a Jamaican. Because what is going on in the Middle East, what is going on in some other parts of the world, I learned about 6 million internally displaced people in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. We don't have that.
No. And at least we don't have the amount of people who are walking across dangerous rivers.
Yes. Yeah. I forgot
Walking
them.
from
The refugees.
South America to North America.
And
I mean, we have a few going through Mexico
we
too.
Do.
I mean,
we do.
We like the excitement.
But Miss Lou used to lyricize about colonization in reverse.
Yes.
Because this is a situation where, for centuries, the European powers could come, could take, could go from our territories.
Yes.
With total ease, backed by their guns and their what they considered superior powers. Now, the reverse is taking place to some extent, but at what a price and what a sacrifice.
Well, whether you're looking in the Soviet Union or in Russia and their war there,
yes.
I look down, but we certainly we do have problems.
But what is so?
What are we fighting over?
Well, this is it, and and what is clear is that humanity, many people, many humans, almost instinctively consider others just like them to be inferior, inherently inferior, whether it was on the basis of race or ethnicity, yes, but in the same way as that in our history, black people were considered to be property, not humans, yes, and then you have the Israeli defense minister calling Palestinians human animals,
yes,
and treating them as such. Now, how do you? Where is it in the socialization? Where is it in the anthropology of humanity that encourages us or even allows the space to do that?
Well, I know you're a New York Times man.
Yes.
And I don't know if you saw that front page that in 2050, every fourth person in the world will be of African descent.
Didn't see that, but not surprised.
Yes.
I thought we all were from African descent, ultimately.
Well, I think it has more to do with color.
Yes, it does.
But you know what is happening? You know what's happening to the Americans who have color like you, and who decide that they are going to Nigeria and others to get color like me. It's a massive ring of
So what is this
intelligent
now?
people.
You have people
marrying,
you have people doing that. You have people coming to Jamaica and exposing themselves to harmful extent of the sun in
Yes.
order to brown up themselves.
Yes.
At the same time as you have people who born like you and who bleach themselves to look like something else.
Yes.
What is happening?
Well,
Why can't we just accept each other as we are made, as we are blessed?
well, let us examine it from a social and psychological point of view.
Take me there.
I think pressure on people does cause that. In other words, boy, for you to get a job, remember, when I came to Kingston,
Yeah,
to get a job, you had to be a brown boy.
sure.
No black girl or boy was on the front desk of any banks, any insurance company, any airline, or any the other one.
Yeah.
And you're the most brilliant black boy from Campion in maths. You're offered a lovely chair in the back and you're dropped to two.
Yeah.
And some who were put in the front.
So
pass.
then
But we have moved away from that.
well, no, but that is the point. So we have a lesson that we have taught ourselves, hard fought, hard brought lesson, and it seems to me that what is it that we have been able to do, not perfectly but significantly, that we should cherish rather than disparage, and secondly, why is it that others are still engaged in a conflict which so demeans their very self?
Well, let us look at one other thing, and we have to accept that we have come a far way.
Yeah.
When I say Ronnie, in 1969, when I finished high school and decided to come to Kingston, there was nobody there. And today, the mix is so high that it's as if it's a total reverse. But it's psychologically more balanced and acceptable than what it was.
Well, but so I want to know, what is it in our genes? Is it what social circumstances have made our situation so prone to change in the right direction? Again, in case anybody starts shout after me, not perfectly at all, but at the same time, look, just take the application. Jews and Arabs. Yes, do not fight in Jamaica.
Well, I'm glad you reached there. Put it another way, cannot fight.
Wow, now listen to that.
Well, I was talking to you over the weekend, you know.
I have to clean out my ears. Okay.
I said, Ronnie, tell me something. You're going to tell me that the Jews and the Arabs in Jamaica are Jamaicans.
Yeah.
And whatever you call me, I'm part of the clan.
Yeah.
So how could I vote? How do I vote for the Jews and the Arab in this war? Or do I find the bathroom?
Or absent myself from the chamber.
No. Hold on. I'm very serious about this, you know.
I know I'm taking you very seriously.
I am a politician. And I call myself a political science student.
Yeah.
So I'm not a hypocrite.
No.
I know that there were times when you had to go to the bathroom even if you didn't want to, because you didn't want to be there at certain time when certain thing was happening.
Yeah, but
now I am not suggesting that this happened this way.
No,
but
better not.
Take it that the government of Jamaica voted with the Arabs, or voted with the Jews.
But that wasn't the question.
No. The question was whether or not we should call on them to put on their arms and
a
work
humanitarian
together.
truce.
Yes, everybody agree with that.
Yeah. So we never have to go to the bathroom.
Well, I don't know if they had to go to the bathroom, but I know if I were there, I'd go to the bathroom.
No, you wouldn't, because you're a quintessentially sensitive human person, and you would not. You would say,
that wasn't the resolution.
The resolution was, can we stop killing each other and find some, even for a short pause, so that those who are wounded, those who need to get out, those who have no water, no electricity, no phone, no nothing, can be relieved. Yes, nothing more or less than that. Yes. Now, if you at whose expense would that be? If it goes like that, who would consider they have to make the move?
who would be giving up? The Israelis.
Presumably two sides.
I am not sure that was a presentation.
But even if at the end of the day, you have to choose for humanity. You have to choose to value life.
You have to choose life.
Yes,
but whatever color it brings.
Well, exactly, sir.
Whatever race it brings.
Exactly,
you
sir.
You have to look down the line and say, where can we find peace?
Indeed.
And that's my mother's thing.
Yeah, well,
peace.
God bless her. God bless her. But that is what we did not do. This is what is concerning.
You do what I would do politically.
Well,
that's what you would do.
No, because and then when as is on full of social media today, people are remembering that when there was an issue in 2017 regarding a UNESCO vote about the Temple Mount at Jerusalem, yes, Jamaica voted or absented itself from a vote which Israel saw as being controversial or against them, and Mr. Netanyahu congratulated Mr. Holness for that. So it is clear that the Jamaican government had their own reasons for not wanting to support this thing. No, for God's sake, at least tell us truthfully where you are. And I want to say that I fundamentally oppose that position. Because Jamaica is a small country. We are deeply wounded human persons like everybody else, and we must always defend life.
Well, there are times when you have to decide whether you are going to support some people based on the support that they are giving.
No, sir. That is an opportunistic position that does the Honourable Charles no honor.
Don't run it. Do not close your mind to the fact that the politics of today has that in it.
Well, I reject that politics.
I don't say you have to accept it.
Yes. And I don't want it to characterize us at all, because at the same time, that politics means that we are going to declare, in this case, the Palestinians as children of a lesser God, and we who have suffered, yes, we as a people, people looking more like you than me, who have suffered so much along that line,
nobody could tell me.
Should never do that.
Nobody could tell me, and you know, because we have decided on that already.
Yeah.
Right, where I would be,
yeah.
Right, and probably I am just natural when it comes to those who are suffering most.
But that's a right spirit.
With them.
But that's a right spirit. That first of all, it's a Christian spirit, and secondly, even if you're not religious minded, that is a humane thing to do, because what is absolutely true is that if you demean anybody else, you're only begging it for yourself. So, I mean, this thing, Jamaica's vote at the United Nations General Assembly, as I'm sure we'll discuss with Ambassador Ward later, is neither here nor there. The resolution passed famously, okay? But what I'm worried about is what is in our hearts, and particularly what is in the hearts of the people in that building at on the waterfront.
Tell me something. The side that you'd want Jamaica to vote on, which side is that?
No, I am in favor of a humanitarian pause, which is a prelude to a ceasefire. And when I hear somebody who I supported over Trump, vicariously, I don't have a vote. I would have supported Biden over Trump.
Yes.
Yes? And Biden says now is not the time for a ceasefire. So what? How much more lives must be lost? I'm so ashamed.
Well, I guess what happened yesterday, they were waiting for. Because they're just more of the same.
Yeah, and we must all have our dinner and say.
Yeah, you saw the latest this morning that the people pushing into Egypt, all people that have passports are going in.
Yeah. Well, that's a small break, but there you are. Shall we take a break? Okay, we go straight on. Yes. Let's welcome our guest, Professor Henry Lewis. Grateful for your company, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you very much. I introduce you to the Honourable Colonel Charles.
Good afternoon, Mr. Charles.
Good morning, sir. How are you, sir? Oh, it's afternoon?
Good afternoon by now. Professor Lewis is an academic at the University of Technology, and he is fairly regular columnist in the Observer newspaper. Professor Lewis, you this week you introduced an interesting, not novel, but you expanded a notion of what would be called a well-being economy. Could you describe for us what that means in contrast to our usual index of measurement, which is growth or decline in gross domestic product?
Absolutely. And, well, I don't know if you recall, but in 2017, it's not the first time I have been touting the well-being economy. In 2017, I wrote an article, and at the time, yourself and Ralston Hyman interviewed me.
Thanks for that.
Yes. So I've been for the last 5 years calling attention to the well-being economy. Simply put, the well-being economy is really a framework that focuses on human well-being as the goal, and not just GDP growth. And it has some priorities. It prioritizes social, environmental, and economic balance, so that everyone, or so that no one is left out. It's a different kind of indicator to measure growth. Of course, GDP is an institution in itself and is used by almost every country in the world to measure growth. But more and more, we're seeing that GDP growth is in most cases, especially in developing economies, failing people. And the research has shown, that countries are looking at a kind of hybrid measure of growth. And so the well-being economy values economic growth, but it also values some other things like inequality, social depravity. It values sustainable development, environmental conservation. It values taking care of well-being so that we can take care of future generations. So I have to admit that it is still very germane to the economic landscape in the Caribbean, in the region, but in Europe and in some parts of the world, it's a conversation that has been going on for the past, I should say, 8 to 10 years.
Help us with some further definitions. Gross domestic product is the sum total of the productive activity of any economy over and above some previous poll, some previous data or position, eh?
Right.
And
correct.
It is a mathematical exercise which does not speak to issues of distribution, equality, inequality, etc.
Correct.
Okay. So, for example, all right, it may not speak to, or does not speak to, how the impact of particular segments of growth or lack thereof affects people's day-to-day life.
Correct.
So when for example, we learn, and I hope you'll agree with me, that Jamaica's GDP is in positive numbers. Okay, we feel good, but at the same time, more and more people at a certain level of society are unable to buy food or go to the hospital if they need to.
That's exactly what the article was about.
In other words, their well-being is not
is
not reflected in the GDP position.
And we have to ask ourselves, why is that so? And in my column, I've made the case, actually commending the government for the positive trajectory of growth and the numbers. But growth by itself is as I suggested, a dangerous game, akin to chasing the dog chasing its tail.
Yeah.
Because it's not only for growth's sake. It is to ensure that people are feeling this growth, are benefiting from this growth. And I might say that people are benefiting from this growth, but what percentage and who are these people benefiting the growth? I'm suggesting, and it will be reflected in the economy, is that a certain segment of people are feeling the growth, and a large percentage are just complaining, bawling out, as I would say, that, it's really tough and we can't balance our books.
Professor, I have a problem because Ronnie and myself sometimes discuss this thing off the air.
Sure.
And I am convinced that if we didn't have, quote unquote, the politics that present the competition or the whatever, give me a good word.
That's a good word.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
That we could transfer even from one generation to the other, one political party to the other. But because of the competition and because of the search for political power, everything that is being done that so positive GDP now is presented as no good. My side will make it better. And if you transfer political power, they don't continue the path that give us the GDP, whichever side is.
But we mix in metaphors, don't we? Because once you start to say a false equation, better put, because GDP growth does not immediately signal more well-being.
No, it doesn't.
And, and GDP decline similarly may not equate equal decline in all sectors of the society.
Right.
And Professor, that gives the other side a big jump to say all this greatness of Professor and you talking about GDP growth. Man can't eat food, man still suffering. Man don't
but
have
isn't that what we're both about?
Yeah,
Any political movement worth its salt is about well-being.
Yes,
it is. But
there's a conflict between the position of well-being, the position of GDP growth, and the position of transfer or supervising that by political power.
Okay, what you say, Professor Lewis?
Right, and that's the dichotomous danger.
Yes.
And governments, not only in Jamaica, but around the world, have found themselves in this dichotomous thrust to focus on growing the economy. And in so doing, people are left out. But then another government coming to you will say, let us, or another political party will say, well, we are for the people. Yeah. Let's focus on the people, and then the economy suffers. Okay. So there shouldn't be this dichotomy.
Yeah, but the reason why ministers of finance and others defend economic growth, and nobody is opposing that.
No.
Let's make that clear. But the reason why that they make growth, GDP growth, their gold standard is because essentially, perhaps without admitting it even to themselves, they believe in trickle-down economics. That if you have overall growth, even though it may be in the first instance concentrated on 1% of the population, it eventually must trickle down. Well, there was one Jamaican economist, financial expert, who persuaded me that was entirely untrue and not to be relied upon. His name was Edward Philip George Siaga.
That the trickle-down economics was not to be relied on?
No. He used in his retirement, when I used to dialogue with him, he was absolutely clear about that.
Well, was it clear? Say it should happen, what never happened, or it should never have happened in the beginning?
No.
Because tell me what would they give for that?
It never happened.
But what would he expect to put out of that based on the kind of GDP
I would
development?
like to think that he might have resonated on further thought with the position that Professor Lewis is putting forward. That in fact we as a people, humanity, the same spirit of recognizing the needs and the wishes of all of us, should look at human well-being broadly, rather than be satisfied with numerical indices which don't translate.
I always give you the go ahead when you say should look at.
Yeah.
Let us look at what is there now and
yes,
tell me,
yes.
Dr. Professor Lewis.
Yeah.
Yes, I think, I hear the argument about the trickle-down economy, which is, in a sense, true. But there is actually another term.
Tell me.
Because of the politicizing of economic development, political parties really are not so much focused on trickle-down economy, but as a colleague of mine says, focus on the economics of arrival. You know, the economics of arrival is that we are growing, and we will announce how we're growing. The economics of arrival states that we can borrow with low interest rate. The economics of arrival says that, look, we will have better ratings as we have been having, you know, but the focus should not be on the economics of arrival, but taking our eyes off economics of arrival and putting it on where it matters most. And where it matters most is what we're discussing, the well-being of the citizenry, the well-being of those persons who hear that the country is growing, but when they look at their budgets, it's not making sense.
Well, Professor Lewis, I want to get very practical in the minutes
Sure.
retaining. Yeah. I wrote a piece recently, before I'd seen yours, making a contrast between the cry for prosperity, which is the symbol really of the governing government in Jamaica now, and what I called sufficiency. In my view, prosperity is an illusion for Jamaica. Our system will never inure to what people understand by prosperity for all of our people. It will not. What
would you put
sufficiency?
What did you put as something that we should look towards, working towards?
Sufficiency.
Sufficiency
Sufficiency means not the big house on the hill,
but a house.
Yes,
but then a man who don't have a house, right? And have his little bung down the bottom, and he gets a house and a key and walk in. Yeah. Doesn't that?
Absolutely. But the trouble is
great for him.
Yes, indeed.
So for him, up or down.
No, but
that's a sufficiency for him.
Sufficiency. But what I'm looking for that's
prosperity
is to be general. It's for it to be general across the society. And what I'm finding is that a lot of young people, please contradict me, Pernell or Mr. Professor Lewis. A lot of young people, they want it all right now. Yeah. And that's the attitude. And the attitude is that somebody is denying me prosperity. Or when, in fact, if the fair way and the possible way for us in Jamaica, as a 3 million, however many people, is investing in our country, is to dedicate ourselves, our economic policy, our political purposes, our social relations towards not high life, but rather a middle class life where we all can have the basic indices of clean, healthy living.
You want me to tell you the problem in that?
What is the problem?
The problem is that looking towards going there is directed by a political policy. And we have not had all of those who are involved in the political sphere pushing that as one.
Well,
We have
allow me
everybody-
to say,
Yes.
as a junior graduate of the political culture, you're the senior one. that any politics that does not start with and concentrate upon, in Jamaica now, upon the sufficiency of all of our people, sufficiency in things, basic things like food, effective education, reasonable health care, a place to live, some work to do. Any politics that doesn't do that, yes, one could have 40% growth in GDP. You know what?
Yeah,
Professor Lewis, help me.
Yeah, but the competition comes in right there
Well,
as to who
correct.
can make it go faster. You,
Correct.
you're going to say, come with me, Mighty.
and-
Professor, go ahead, take it.
If I may,
Sure.
and I'm hearing about the competition, and
Yes.
you're right, because the factors that inhibit governments. Let's talk about Jamaica now, from really looking broadly at well-being or sufficiency. I see sufficiency as a euphemism for
Yes,
well-being.
yes.
It's because of these political factors. Politics is one. You know, the research has shown that politics drives these issues, and crime is another one that affects it. Corruption, another one that affects it. Bad policies, all of these, you know, because when we think about well-being and what should be done to ensure that Masjo is able to balance his books, are some of the things that governments on both sides have been doing over the years. But the political competition and other factors have shifted the focus from ensuring that well-being is taken care of. And so we end up in this cycle.
I can do it.
Professor Lewis,
I can do it better than you.
1 second. We need a short break. When we come back, what would an economy which was measured the indices of well-being, of sufficiency, what would it look like in Jamaica going forward? Professor Henry Lewis of the University of Technology, Pernell Charles, and myself. We soon come. This is a Public Eye. Returning to a discussion with Professor Henry Lewis of the University of Technology, with the Honorable Pernell Charles Sr. and myself. This is a Public Eye. What would an economy based on well-being for everybody, what would it look like, Professor Lewis?
Right. An economy with a well-being focus or a well-being model, in my view, will promote a kind of economic prosperity and human well-being in a very synergistic way, which requires merging economics, merging social and environmental factors, and designing policies such as inclusive growth policies, environmental policies, progressive taxation, sustainable business practices. So it is a policy-driven approach that really ensures that, one, a social foundation is preserved and not dipped below. And when I talk about a social foundation, the basics, health, food, water, energy, education, income and work, political voice, social equity, that's a social floor that should be very sturdy, very firm. Not even an earthquake economic earthquake should shake this social floor.
Wow.
You know?
So let's be very granular now. For me, and this is for discussion, it would mean that those people with great wealth would pay their fair share of tax, eh?
Well, that is one way of ensuring.
It would mean for me that every able-bodied person would have to work.
Yes.
Yes, it would mean that instead of speaking about free education, we would really mean education of a strong quality for all. and similarly healthcare.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. It would mean that there was basic food that would be available for all people, rather than so many being unable to afford a balanced, a healthy health. Yes, it would mean, for example, in my view, there would be no more bauxite industry, because it is raping our country, and we're getting penny quaty for it. But arguable. But it would mean that every every dollar that was spent of the $1 trillion budget, every investment that was made, was targeted towards the common good. It wouldn't mean that everybody had the same bank account or lived in the same size house. But it would mean that there was not this obvious, scarcely camouflaged oppression of wealth, of class, and of color that still, in varying degrees, afflicts our society. Professor Lewis, the Honorable Pernell Charles.
That's before Professor come in. Because something that I think you have left out,
what,
and you are not looking at, is the competition among ourselves in getting part of this development.
Well, I reject that competition.
No, there's a serious competition. But you're going to tell the man uptown, say him go and get the same amount of the man downtown.
No, I'm not saying that. No, I didn't say that. But what it means is that...
How are you going to remove the politics of competition in the search for what I get out of the development?
You can help me, Professor Lewis?
The politics of competition is a culture. We are a competitive people, and so I don't think you can eradicate competition. What is important is ensuring there is equity, and when there is equity, there is less competition.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, but how do you bring about a situation where there's equity? For example,
I want to support your son. Your son is a minister of Social Security, and my children I know, let me not personalize it, may get $1,000 a day to buy lunch and snacks at school. Okay, now children on path at the lowest end of the spectrum are getting $140. Okay, I don't wish them to, at that level. I don't think that we need to say that they must get the same $1,000. But for God's sake, give them half, not give them 500, so they can eat something when we jolly well know what the cost of living is.
Okay,
so that is what your son is proposing, and I want to support him in cabinet, though I know he's going to fail.
That is part of it, yeah.
So it's not. It's not equality. Equity and equality are two different things.
Yeah, well, it's your son too.
Yes, I thank you for the adoption.
He's your minister. But let's get to the point. The competition that has to be brought under control or be managed so that these various pegs can be put in the right holes. We don't get there yet, and I want Professor Lewis, who is not only an economist but have a lot of social and psychological backup in his professorship, to tell me, how can I control the social and psychological uptoners to tell them we are going to cut gas, or we're going to take out some of the cars off the road so that production can increase. Listen, man, Professor, help me out, because Ranny is looking at me and laughing at me.
Well,
you cause it.
Well, and this competition came about with the advent of globalization. We look across the fence and we see the life, and we don't analyze that life is driven by a different set of variables, economic variables. But we want the same life, or as close as possible to it, and there lies this competition. You drive, I must drive. You drive that, I must drive a better one. And the political culture doesn't help with this kind of robust, competitive nature of our politics. Even when it comes to the economics, one man stands up and say, "I can manage it better." Another man said, "No, I can manage it better." And so there is a competition. So it's at all levels. I think we have to introduce a kind of value of life, and from the schools.
Yes.
What does life mean?
Yes.
What is the value?
Yes.
Is it in the abundance of things that you possess? Is it what you drive? Is it the size of your house? What is the value?
Yes.
So, and a reintroduction of values and attitudes that we must always come back to.
Yes.
As the foundation.
And to be able to see this as being the elixir of real happiness, Professor.
Yes.
Rather than the follow fashion,
that's
jealousy,
can bring about the happiness.
Envidiousness, which can never bring happiness. No,
Never, not at all.
We're not making spiritual points only. We're making very practical, real socially relevant points. But and the thing is that the competition, which is such a on a personal level, at a national level, this was introduced as part of the imperial package, to make us believe that we needed to have this competition in order to avoid despotism.
Stop right there. Let me ask you a question. Does
The reverse is happening.
competition increase production and all of these things?
In certain instances, yes, sir.
In what instance it doesn't?
In the politics of Jamaica.
Yeah, but hold on. The politics
What an
of
easy
Jamaica.
question.
You see how quick him jump from production of economy to production of politics,
But
Professor Lewis.
did you take
And
me there?
The truth is this: that is where the problem is.
Yeah.
And we've been discovering this long ago.
Yeah.
And one of your colleagues wrote an article. I think he must have slept with me. He must have listened to me. He must have heard me dreaming.
Yes.
He put everything in that article.
Yes, sir.
I carried a copy to give you. Right?
Okay, sir.
To show you.
Uh-huh.
The problem is us.
Well, so this is why we're having this discussion. This is why you and I sit
But I
here.
want some answers from Professor Lewis, who is not in the politics of it, but must tell me how can I get the economy and the GDP to go forward and control the politics, which is actually splitting it and say, I can do it better than you.
No,
and so therefore you can't go forward.
But you manifestly can't. I mean,
Yeah, you can.
the history of 62 years is that while progress can be made, nobody's denying that. Has been made by both sets of administrations. That in fact the kind of surge forward that our humanity and our aspirations and our spirituality demand, yes, our sociability is eluding us and will continue to elude us.
It will continue, absolutely.
Yes, you have two children in full political activity, yes, and they will do good things, but they can never achieve what you and they want us to achieve. Can't. The system just can't. The market cannot take us there.
You're talking to two ex-politicians who have gone through the fire.
Yeah.
You tell me, look at us now and tell me, what mistakes did we make? And what mistake is being made to prevent you from getting that development that you're talking about, that GDP that all of us can participate in and get beneficial, sufficient to us to survive?
I will leave that to the political scientists to analyze.
Well, I was going to answer for you.
And give those answers. But the short and long of it is that there has been a culture, and I agree with Sir Charles, of this kind of competition. I don't think we can eradicate it. I am saying to us, listen, look, we can, for the next 20 years, 50 years, do better. We can do better because it is all about sufficiency and adopting Mr. Twait's words and well-being. All of us will not own the 5-bedroom house and the Porsche. That's not going to happen. But we all could be at peace. We all could be feeling happy, have a sense of contentment. We all could be able to say, well, I'm working and I am skilled. I can take care of my family, and feel good about that.
Boy,
Sir, tell me, let's jump across to the east. Did Lee Kuan Yew look at what we're doing and did something about it?
Yes.
And can that be happening in Jamaica?
In a different way, but I think that is the case. I often compare Fidel Castro and Lee Kuan Yew, Professor Lewis, the at opposite ends of the ideological spectrum, but insisting upon things which do make a people sufficient, do improve well-being, do improve GDP growth. Yes. Which all of which coming together. First of all, a sound education, a universal healthcare system that really works, insistent emphasis upon stable family life, upon food sufficiency. I mean, just and more than anything else, work. Having something useful to do. If you just took those 5 things, that could transform us.
Yes, Mr. Twait. Let me ask you, what did Lee Kuan Yew remove from the majority of people in order to do that?
Things that you and I, that certainly,
and would not. And what did Castro remove?
And I'm insisting that the political strictures that they brought in, the restriction of civil rights, would be intolerable to people like you and me, but are not necessary to remove in order to achieve those things.
Well, I'm not sure, because they found it necessary to remove certain in order to achieve what they did.
Yeah. Well, I doubt if that is the case, but Professor Lewis is an economist, and therefore he's restricting his comments to that.
Yes.
But this is very valuable, Mr. Lewis, because what you're doing is helping us to refocus ourselves on what we view as really appropriate policy direction, appropriate ideological formation, eh?
Yes. Well, just a slight correction. I'm not an economist. I'm a behavioral and social scientist.
Well, thank you for the correction, but that improves your pedigree as far as I'm concerned.
Professor, let me ask you one before you leave us.
Yes.
Do you think that the private sector force in Jamaica should be doing something more focused in economic development for all, rather than just making profits and send it out in the paper in October?
Right. This is how I'm going to answer it. Private sectors have always, in countries, have one focus, and that is to ensure the profitability of businesses. What I believe should be the focus and a shift in focus is really partnering with governments, and in the case of Jamaica, to ensure that we achieve this state of well-being, and in so doing, make the investment on the social floor. And the floor we mentioned includes the healthcare, the education, the research and development. Ensure there is work available. Ensure that training continues and never stops. Ensure that there's gender equality in pay and other things. So with that shift, we certainly will have a better view of the private sector.
Last question from me then. When you speak about the economy of well-being to your students, Professor Lewis, how do they respond?
It's funny because there is a kind of critique of the economy of well-being that sometimes I receive, that you're taking us back to socialism, and everyone wants to achieve what they want to achieve, and if I'm driving, I'm happy, I need a house, But what they're missing, it is that when governments put policies in place to ensure that, not only those with a master's degree or a PhD or a first degree have that house, but those who have a skills training have jobs that are sustainable, that will make not only them happy and comfortable, but the rest of
I hope that you can spread that message convincingly among your students. It would be to everybody's credit. Professor Lewis, thanks for that. Keep on writing about the economy of well-being, please.
Thank you. Thank you.
From the University of Technology, Professor Henry Lewis, offering us a very important critique on how we view economic growth and how we order society. The Public Eye on the Bridge 99 FM. I don't think you find this kind of discussion going on anywhere else in Jamaican media. So we soon come back. This is the Public Eye on the Bridge 99 FM, 7 minutes past 1 o'clock on Wednesday afternoon, the 1st of November. The Honorable Pernod Charles and myself completed a discussion with Professor Henry Lewis, the behavioral scientist from the University of Technology, suggested an economy of well-being. It's the notion in principle is attractive, but it stumps Pernell because he sees the inherent divisiveness, particularly of our political cultures, getting in the way of its achievement. Later on this afternoon, we'll be linking with Ambassador Curtis Ward about the situation in the Middle East and Jamaica's reaction to it. One of the concerns that I have, just back on the local economy, is I saw this morning in the press the very useful survey about inflation, which is put out. I think it's the Statistical Institute or the Planning Institute that does it. And it indicates that Jamaica's inflation, which is high inflation, is the biggest tax upon poor people, is at 5.9% annualized, which is just within the band that the government says it wants to keep it. But you see, again, it's the same argument about well-being versus GDP, because what that figure doesn't indicate is that over the period, the measured period, contrasted last year, there's been a 21% increase in the price of vegetables and 29% in the cost of tubers and plantains and other material that people eat.
You remember I came here one day and said to you, and tell me, do you believe that if there was no increase in wages,
yeah, I remember now,
there could be no increase in cost of goods and service? Yeah. Whether we'll be better off.
Yeah, but that's a managed economy, which we say we don't want.
And you don't want that.
No, well, I don't think we need to force each other to extremes. That's the point. And this is why going back to old subjects of discussion, I couldn't understand why Minister Nigel Clark was against the regulation of bank fees. And by the way, National Commercial Bank is now advertising that their bank fees are going up.
Yes.
What is this?
Yes.
So in the middle of it, just when we are on the cusp of things, trying to make life more tolerable for the majority of our people.
Were you listening to a discussion I had with the commercial bank?
I missed that one.
So listen to this.
Yes.
So you walk into a bank and you have $50,000.
Yeah.
And you said to the man, I want you to hold this $50,000 for me.
Uh-huh.
I want to insure it.
Uh-huh.
I want to invest it so I get profit on it. You invest it so I get profit on it.
Yeah.
Insure it.
Uh-huh.
Give me profit on it.
Uh-huh.
Protect it from being stolen.
Right.
And when them don't tell me what they have to do, that when I touch a button for my $50,000, I can't get it back.
Yeah.
they asked me, how do you think we manage to keep that?
Uh-huh.
I said, we're keeping everybody. I said, well,
So what are they doing? Justify the fees?
that's what they justify. They justify that the amount of people who are working in the bank, the amount of security they have to put in the bank, the amount of investment that they have to do.
They have expenses.
The amount of this.
But they say that is the margin that they take your 50,000, yes, and lend it out to me, and charge me, pay you 2% on it,
yes,
but charge me 13.
Yes, because they have banks to pay for.
Sure.
Insurance
That's
to pay
how so
for.
they cover that and make the profit.
Yes.
But when they start charge you now for take your money, to keep your money,
yeah, but then
in addition to giving you a penny quarter for interest.
Hold on, you were there.
I was supposed to have been.
Because I said, it's all right now. He said, Mr. Charles, yes, I take your money. But guess what I do? I give you interest on it.
How much?
I said, you put in 50, and I am putting 5 on it or 6 on it, right? And I pay all the other fees. You think that's how you go?
Listen, man, you have to be careful of argument. And the interest they're paying you is less than inflation. So it's better you buy a cow or a goat, at least if you keep it close to you and thief not take it. You will get a calf.
You shouldn't bring in the if. Because you lose everything when
maybe so.
the man
No,
kill
but you
a
understand.
goat at the back of the truck.
Yes, but the thing cries out for equity and for a discourse on it. But not even the discourse we can get. No allowance at all. In fact, we just long out our tongue and say, "Bear, see, government support us, and we're going to raise our fees, and you better take it."
And the man said to me, but you're not getting no less than you put in.
No, of course you are. What a lie.
Oh.
Inflation near out at 50,000 before you get it back. Come on. If you're getting 2% and inflation is 6%, you're down already.
Yes, but they would ask you, what's the opposite?
The opposite is to come to a reasonable understanding. We
take 2% and give 3.
We don't say no to the market. If you can lend it out in a way that you can cover your expenses and you can make something for yourself, that's fine. Yes, that's business.
But I must get something in mind.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but there are some of the investment you don't get anything.
The real value.
Yes.
Of course, you make a provision for your losses, but you clearly, the losses can be all on the side of the consumer. Yes, and what do you say to a situation where people are looking at their well-being in Jamaica? People in the diaspora who are sending back to their families here are now looking at their situation and seeing 21% increase in the cost of vegetables, so much more in terms of
by the way,
tubers.
I should tell you that I got a call from the market this morning.
You did?
That there is a
lowering. You're the biggest cabbage purchaser.
I know, because my mother takes me, boil, you know to boil cabbage?
You boil cabbage and drink the water?
Of course you can't throw away cabbage water, man. You're crazy.
Yes, good.
You know, that's a valuable medicine.
Yes, sir. Thank
you
for that.
So you boil the cabbage, you put the cabbage in,
yes,
and you cook it till it's soft,
yes,
and boil down a little, the water looking clearish, right? And you put in some ingredients in that.
Yeah.
Put some salt, a little this and that.
Yeah.
Now, if you're a man who have a problem with getting it back out, it's soft up and do nice.
Lovely.
One.
I see.
Right? Good medicine.
So the word is the price of cabbage going down?
The price of cabbage come down this morning.
Okay.
So $180. It was $350 last week.
So
I don't know. I saw to the paper that vegetables and things going to come down. How they know?
I don't know. But I'm glad to hear it. However way it happens.
Mr. Green must be doing get the agriculture out there.
I hope so, but I don't see sign of it. I tell you, when you drive, all I see is land take up with bush. You believe me, you know the countryside better than I. But before Ambassador Ward comes, if one of the greatest social and economic crimes of the moment is that whole swath of land when you drive on the East-West Highway, yes, and you from Spanish Town, from St. Catherine, go right back into Clarendon, how much land
Have you ever seen
the San Dorothy irrigated scheme that we all invested, paid for generations ago, and it's pure bush.
What is it that we don't have there? Water?
We have water. My understanding is that that land is irrigated.
Well, what is it that you don't have?
The will, the drive.
Now, whose land is it?
Most of it is we lease out to the Chinese, don't it? But them now use it.
No, man, no.
Yeah,
they give back that land. man.
Bernard Lodge,
They give back Bernard Lodge.
Innswood. Look at it. We take it out of cane, and we make dildo bush, maca bush grow up on it. Oh my. That's supposed to have greenhouse. That's supposed to have hydroponics over it.
Every time I hear the talk about this greenhouse.
The highway, the railway is there.
But hold on. The average little man can't run greenhouse.
No, sir. No, I know
telling
that.
you that.
So,
You go to Klein and the man come and put up this fantastic greenhouse for these little people and tell them what to do.
Yeah.
But it's pure bag and thing.
no, but I would pick up the best educated youth, yes, and I would say if you want a full scholarship to go to college or agriculture and an opportunity for an investment in this, yes, come and show them the way. Mr. Siaga was on the right track with Operation Grow, Agro 21. The trouble is that the wrong people got into it, and the same divisiveness that you spoke about undermined it. But this is the kind of thing that we need. We were better off in terms of agricultural production, vegetables, tubers, etc., in 1985 than we are in 2013.
Maybe, I don't know if you know
23.
this, but let me just tell you in a few seconds. There was a quarrel that the big man come and was planting out all of this thing. And I don't know whether it was Siaga who get them to say so or do it, or that's part of his policy. They said to the little man, plant all that we are planting on yours. And we will help you to fertilize it. And we will buy all that can be exported from you. And the rest you carry to Linstead and Kingston.
Had occasion this weekend to drive to St. Elizabeth, to Westmoreland, yes? And Holland Estate, yes? That place used to be a plantocrat's delight, yes? The place full of a bush now, nothing going on there. What a shame, no progress. Oh, but the import food bill, yes, is spiraling. And we have budget surplus, and we have people, we have fashion show and concert show and all that kind of thing. We make merry, but we can't plant the land.
But it is the people who are to do it. Where are they? The point is this, that you can't expect the little man can't get no money to do no dredging. Little man can't get no money to fertilize.
So what
you can't get no money for water. So it has to be, and can't get no bank that to go and lend him money.
So we have all the problems. All of those are subject to our solution. We are a bright people, and if we mean well for our land, if we mean to organize ourselves for the well-being of all of our people, those are problems that can be solved.
Yes.
Yeah, and we are not solving them.
Take
and
out the word
we
can.
have a problem.
Take out the word can and say those are problems that should be solved.
And some of them have been solved already. Some of them in our recent past have shown what we can do. We once had an agricultural credit bank. It had its problems, but it was a necessary institution. We once had an agricultural marketing corporation. It had its problems, but it was and is a necessary institution. We once had a network of people's cooperative banks. It had its problems, but it was and is a necessary
and it is the
institution.
Problem that put it out of business.
And we once had cooperatives among producers, whether it was in sugar or in bananas or whatever. They had their problems, but the model is supposed to be revived if we are really serious about being the God-blessed people that we are.
Yeah, but Ronnie, all that is sound good, but you have to accept. No, it sound good. That's when I said talk is easy and talk sound nice, but action. Action, not a bag of mouth.
Okay.
And not a bag of noise.
I'm telling you about action that has been achieved, that people have.
So why if it was achieved and was so progressive and Where is it?
Well, but
How it fall out?
No.
People don't run away from good.
They do. Oh, goodness. I think they really do. Selfishness takes us in all kinds of negative directions. And my view is that we need to, if even the direction of the past doesn't instruct us for the future, it may tell us where not to go, and we can, but where is the dialogue? Where is the constant dialogue about food sufficiency in Jamaica? How does a Minister of Agriculture, how does any of us who eat every day, when we face the fact in broad terms now in the Gleaner and the Observer that inflation is eating out our capacity to buy vegetables and tubers in Jamaica, when Steve McDonald in Toronto is bawling for produce to sell for foreign exchange from Jamaica, other countries are doing it, and we are saying, boy, we don't know.
Oh, you know why we are saying it? You have not been bawling out to those who are capable of making the investment. The little man cannot invest, find land, water, fertilizer, transportation, workers, factory.
So what are you going to do about that? If no government has had more support from the private sector of Jamaica than the present administration. They love UNO. Yes? So... Seriously.
They know.
they depend on you and you depend on them. Yes? No, there's no doubt. So you mean you can't deal with these people and say, listener, it was nice that you're making all the beauty products and the jams and so on, and those are good things. But we need to look to basic food to feed ourselves. If Jamaica doesn't feed itself, somebody else owns us. Because we have to always and look what they're saying. Oil going to go up if the Middle East war don't stop. Yes, grain supplies are going to go up if Ukraine and Russia they are war. Okay, so come we try to do something for yourself, no? Where is the 1,000 acres of breadfruit that Prime Minister said? Where it going to go? I'm so glad when I hear those things. But then I drive to Westmoreland and I see pure cow walk up and down in a Mayor's Field cane.
But do you expect the parents to go plan the breadfruit?
No, but I expect him to lead us and say, this is where the land is going to be.
But you see him go plan breadfruit and then the man left it dead.
No, so what am I going to do?
Eh?
Continue the importation of stuff? It can't work.
No, the Costa Rica send it in our name so that when another time come and a new better guys come, we still have the name up there so we just put it in.
Listen to me. Isn't
that a laughing matter?
No, it isn't. It is a serious matter. Yes, I've when the price of cabbage went up, the people I deal with downtown were in serious problem because when the money finish on a Friday, many of them is Sunday dinner is some cabbage, some rice, and some gravy and some ketchup. And when the cabbage gone up to over $200 a pound, how are you going to manage that?
How much? 300.
Well, that is it, sir.
Yeah, but hold on now. Because who put it up? My wife went to Trelawney 2 weeks ago and bet round leaf, pretty yellow yam. $228 a pound.
Oh my.
And the same yellow yam is up here for $400 a pound. So now you want to tell me transportation, all of these investments,
margins,
double it, that will come to town. And unless it come in, walk, price can't drop.
Well,
and then watch it as it start to drop, then price will come up.
Okay. I believe that here market forces can play because if you planted more round leaf yam, eventually the price would have to modulate.
No, and the price would drop below the cost of planting yam.
No, then that can't work under any system. But we should let us have the discussion. What is it that we can produce?
But I just said something to you, and my father just called me and asked me if I forget that him used to dig from 150 bank of round leaf, take them up and put them at a place where they can stay for 5 and 6, 3 months.
Yes.
And then check them cut and sell, and the head go back. Man, stop do that.
Well, why?
Down the market
He's
here.
on?
Down the market here.
Yes.
Out of Spanish Town Road.
Uh-huh.
They used to be able to keep food
Yeah.
for a long time.
Well, so
What?
so why are we going backward? I want to go forward. We have Ambassador Curtis Ward on the line. Ambassador, welcome. Thanks so much for being a friend of the public eye.
Thank you very much, sir.
Happy to be here. The Honorable Colonel Charles is the co-host, as you know. Are you hearing us?
Yes.
Good.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're hearing you now. Ambassador, we're
Great.
are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, good.
And I'm seeing you.
Okay, good. Fine. Thanks very much. We are anxious to canvass your views on the present state of war in Gaza between Israel and the Palestinians, or as it is. They say it's against Hamas only. And we are also anxious for you to share your comments, otherwise expressed, on Jamaica's absence from the vote in the United Nations General Assembly on a humanitarian pause in that same conflict. Can you share your views with our listeners?
Well, which one first?
Your choice.
You asked about the war, the status of the war itself, and you also asked about the not voting in the UN General Assembly on the humanitarian ceasefire resolution. Well, let's do the second one first. This was unprecedented for Jamaica not to exercise a vote. As far as I could go back and consulting with other former Jamaican diplomats and former senior members of the Foreign Service who served at the UN, as well as served in the OAS, none of them can recall Jamaica ever not registering a vote on any issue and being absent or just not voting in a situation like this.
Really? Whoa.
Yeah. So this was unprecedented.
Wasn't there, I saw something, Ambassador Ward, where in 2017, I think, Mr. Netanyahu was commending Prime Minister Holness for Jamaica's, I don't know if it was abstention or not voting on a UNESCO resolution regarding the Temple Heights, Temple Mount in Israel. Would that have been another instance where we decided to withhold for whatever reason? Do you know about that or remember it?
Well, there are three ways to vote. You vote in favor, you vote against, or you abstain.
I see.
In this particular situation, Jamaica did none of the three. Jamaica simply did not vote.
Do you accept the explanation?
No, the reason given is really not a good reason whatsoever, because Jamaica had more than ample time to determine how it would vote on this resolution. Jamaica's foreign minister is a coordinator of CAFCOR, which is the group of foreign ministers of CARICOM that coordinate among themselves what Jamaica's foreign policy is. The other thing is, Jamaica permanent representative at the UN chairs the CARICOM caucus at the UN and actually spoke in the General Assembly at the time of the voting on behalf of CARICOM. And this is not a resolution that Jamaica dilly-dallies about. This is a very important resolution in terms of the situation in Gaza. and the humanitarian crisis that has engulfed the Palestinian people in Gaza as a consequence of one, and we shouldn't disregard the fact that Hamas attacked Israel, an attack which I classified as terrorism.
Indeed.
And Israel's response, which has crossed the line and has defied all logic. It has actually violated international rules of law, crimes against humanity, and so on. And for a sovereign state to behave in a manner that you expect a terrorist organization such as Hamas to behave is also very unacceptable. So Jamaica had very little conflict, or should have had very little conflict in its mind about how to vote on this calling for a ceasefire so that Palestinian people could have access to humanitarian assistance and to give them a chance to vacate the area safely so that they could at least escape the carnage which the Israeli government was raining down on them. I'm one of those who defend the right of Israel.
Sure, we all do.
Are you saying that Jamaica's vote
defend itself from attacks such as Hamas's attack?
So, explain to me what you mean by that. Jamaica spoke for CARICOM. Was CARICOM vote?
Yes.
And was there a CARICOM vote? You said Jamaica spoke?
No. Jamaica was a spokesperson, let's put it that way. Jamaica presented CARICOM's position to the UN General Assembly. Right. But Jamaica was the only CARICOM state not to vote on the resolution.
So you're saying that all the other CARICOM states voted, although Jamaica spoke for them, except Jamaica?
Yes.
So at least that
of the 14 CARICOM states, 12 voted in favor. 1 abstained, that was Haiti, and Jamaica just did not vote.
Can it be said?
Haiti's abstention is not surprising.
Okay, can it be said, Ambassador Ward, that since...
I didn't hear that question, Ronnie.
Yes. Can it be said that since we spoke on CARICOM's policy and we are part of CARICOM, that our own position was quite clear and decisive, and therefore the absence of our vote is immaterial?
No. The vote is the vote. The statement, anybody could have given the statement. Any CARICOM member state could have given the statement. Jamaica gave the statement because Jamaica is chair of the CARICOM caucus at the UN. But that is a collective statement. That is not an individual position. That is the position of the Caribbean community.
Of which Jamaica is a part.
Each country now, but each country now has the responsibility to exercise a vote.
Yeah, Ambassador,
Jamaica is the only member that did not vote. And the foreign minister, listen, the foreign minister went on X, with the former Twitter, and said that Jamaica was still deliberating about how to vote at the time the vote was taken at the UN. Now think about that.
We, Rani and myself, sitting before the mic here, we have our own approach, because we are not members of the government. But I wanted to say that if I spoke on behalf of a group, that it means that whatever is said in that presentation, I am part of that. Now, if that group vote, now you're saying that the group did not vote as a group. No, it votes individually.
Has to.
No, you don't vote as a group. You have to vote individually at the UN.
Yes.
But having
Okay.
And the thing, Perlin, when you're part of a group and you are the designated spokesperson for the group, you give a statement which the group has agreed to by consensus. Okay? Having agreed by consensus doesn't necessarily mean members of the group don't have different opinion from what they agreed on. Jamaica, as chair of the caucus, is the spokesperson for CARICOM at the UN. When the Security Council had the discussion, Haiti, for instance, Jamaica spoke on behalf of CARICOM, but Jamaica doesn't have a vote in the Security Council. Jamaica is not a member. In the General Assembly is a different situation. You speak that the European Union would have a statement on behalf of the EU by the EU chair at the UN. But then every EU member has an individual vote which expresses their individual opinion. Jamaica Foreign Minister said that Jamaica was still deliberating when the vote was taken and therefore missed out and taken a position.
Well,
so Jamaica has
that statement.
In essence, Jamaica does not have a position on the resolution.
Well, you know.
No, that's your understanding?
Well,
that Jamaica does not have a position.
Well, just taking a position subsequently.
Yeah.
But
what's the position they took?
The position is, well, they seemed to be in favor of the sentiments that were encompassed in the resolution.
Yes.
But that still doesn't explain why they didn't go and cast a vote. This business about still consulting,
Randy,
I don't understand.
That. But Jamaica made a presentation on behalf of CARICOM. And that means Jamaica made a presentation on our own behalf.
No, that's what Ambassador Ward is making
but
clear.
Ambassador Ward cannot tell me.
It's a collective.
No, he said that.
Well, it's a collective statement. It's a statement by CARICOM as a group.
Yes.
And usually
including
the
Jamaica
statement is by consensus. You will recall. I don't want to rehash old memories, but you will recall when CARICOM agreed by consensus to support one particular candidate for the Commonwealth Secretariat position, Commonwealth Secretary General position. And Jamaica went beyond CARICOM's consensus
and nominated
its own candidate. So the consensus doesn't bind you in terms of you actually vote. Take Haiti, for instance. Haiti is part of CARICOM, and Haiti abstained.
Yes.
The other 12 CARICOM members voted in favor. But the votes are representative of their national position. The statement is representative of the community position.
So, what happens?
And there's a vast.
What is the consequence of that? Ambassador Ward, in the international community now, in terms of Jamaica's historic and, in my view, estimable non-aligned position. How does this fit or not fit?
Well, if an objective observer at the UN, any other member state, that is, evaluating Jamaica's non-voting, they would be beginning to wonder, what is Jamaica's position on the entire Palestinian issue and on humanitarian concerns for the Palestinians? There are some who voted no. 14 states voted no for the resolution out of 193. Another, I think just 30 something that abstained. 120 voted in favor, and another 14 did not vote. But if you look at the countries that did not vote, Pearl and Roy, and for Jamaica to find itself grouped in that lot, it's
A shame.
really shameful.
Yeah, I did look at
and
those.
normally at the UN, most times countries that do not register a vote, it is because they have not paid their dues.
Yes,
I don't believe that to be the case
in Jamaica.
where Jamaica is concerned. I don't believe that to be the case. But some countries are seeing that. My goodness, Jamaica didn't pay its dues because this is so abnormal for Jamaica not to vote, not to have a position.
Yeah. Well, frankly, our foreign
Even
policy appears to
abstention
be
is a position.
our foreign policy seems to be, for me, to be declining in its pedigree. But Ambassador Ward, on the CNN tracker, which we are able to see as we broadcast in Kingston, Iran is now warning the United States about the escalation of this war, and obviously there is danger of its escalating into a broad Middle East Arab-Israeli conflict. Do you see it? Do you see that possibility? How imminent is it, if you do? And what consequences would that have on a country like Jamaica?
It is possible. Let me start with that. There is a possibility that the war could broaden. I don't believe Iran would step in immediately. I think Iran will use its proxies, and Hezbollah is one of Iran's proxies. Hezbollah's military capabilities is probably 10 times that of Hamas.
Whoa.
And Hezbollah operates out of Lebanon.
Lebanon.
Okay?
10 times.
Yeah. Yeah. Hezbollah has missiles supplied by Iran that can reach Tel Aviv. So Gaza, where Gaza is and where Hamas operates, is southern Lebanon, which is really sparsely populated. No major cities. That's why Hamas didn't attack any major cities. They literally attacked villages. Okay? But Hezbollah out of Lebanon can attack Tel Aviv. The Israeli government has begun evacuation of Israeli citizens from certain sections of Israel,
Really?
bordering on Lebanon, because this has been a hot spot for years. And even without this war, every now and again Hezbollah would send a few rockets into Israel, and Israel would retaliate. That has stepped up significantly since Hamas attack and Israel's
October the 7th.
response. But Hezbollah is not going to go full-fledged, in my estimation, unless Iran give them the go.
Well,
There's also the Houthi group in Yemen, which is another proxy of Iran, which should also enter the fray from Yemen.
Ambassador, just hold that thought for a minute for me. We have to take a break on the public eye. When we come back, let's examine this, because far away though it be, it affects Jamaica's present and future. Hold on just a moment. The public eye with Ambassador Curtis Ward soon come. Big things being discussed on the public eye on the Bridge 99 FM. Ambassador Curtis Ward, thanks for staying with us. Ambassador, just to point your reply, if the world viewpoint, albeit a non-binding resolution, is for some humanitarian truce, which can be a prelude to a cessation of hostilities, why is the government of the United States, with all of its supposed principles, saying that this is not the time for a ceasefire? What they really defend, Mr. Ward?
The U.S. is saying exactly what Netanyahu is saying.
My God.
That it's not time for a ceasefire. But the U.S. at the same time is pushing Israel to allow humanitarian assistance to reach the Palestinian people. You see, a ceasefire is not the same as a pause. A ceasefire really is to end the hostilities. And some of these words are interpreted in that vein. And so to call for a ceasefire would be to be calling on Israel to stop going after Hamas, because the U.S. supports Israel's objective of taking down Hamas for good.
At what cost?
At what cost? That's a big question, because it has become troubling for the United States as it is. And the Biden administration is feeling domestic pressure on its one-sidedness so far on this conflict. Yes, it has gone and made many statements to Israel and pressured Netanyahu to avoid civilian casualties. But it is not having any effect on Netanyahu. Although we've seen a little bit of pause, but that pause no longer exists because Israel has accelerated its activities in going after Hamas.
Yes.
Just today, there are reports about a bombing of a refugee center.
Pernell and I were just remarking on that.
Yeah, where Israel claims that Hamas leaders were there. But the devastation and the impact on Palestinian civilians is even more outrage, because a refugee center is just that. It's supposed to be a place of refuge, not a place that is attacked. And under international law, it is illegal. There's no question in my mind.
But Ambassador, could they say
the
that
activities that Israel have carried out so far in response?
Could they say that refugee camp was
crossed the line?
Could they say that enemies of Israel had gone into the camp for hiding? So you don't know whether it is refugee or military that just take over the camp.
So in the meanwhile, while you have all that discussion, people just... remember the statement at the West Kingston Inquiry? The people are deading.
No, Pernell.
Sir?
Look.
Yes.
Look. There is no question that there is a high possibility that Hamas leaders hide among the civilians. There's no question about that. There have been claims that Hamas used civilians as shield. So, unsurprising to learn that Hamas leaders may or may not have been in that camp. But that does not give the warring party a license to attack the camp, knowing that to kill one or two Hamas leaders, you could kill 50 civilians. There is no such acceptable notion as collateral damage when it comes to killing civilians.
Yeah,
That's unacceptable.
but then Israel and others are going to say, look, you are saying to us, don't kill 40 people because we're going after 5 Hamas.
But
Now, the point is, we would say, don't kill nobody.
surely, no.
We said that
But surely
because
international.
there is a possibility that whatever you do in war, they have strategy going to work.
Listen to me. Surely
people
it
gonna
is
get that.
in the 21st century.
Yeah.
It is possible to conceive of and execute different solutions.
Yes.
It seems to me that the developed world needs to exert its influence to de-escalate the conflict and indeed to create a wall of resistance between these two parties and others that exist. We are passing every possible word, humanitarian, truce, ceasefire, etc. We're finding an excuse for war to continue, whether it is on the Hamas side or Hezbollah side or on the Israeli side. Can we do no better than that?
But
This kind of impasse, sparing the technology with which it is being executed, sounds like the Trojan War, Ambassador Ward.
Well,
Is there
let me tell you.
is there no hope for the future of humankind?
let's just look at the two parties here, and there's a third party. The Palestinian people is the third party, because Hamas, for the most part, does not represent the Palestinian people. Hamas is a terrorist organization which has declared unequivocally that it wants to wipe Israel off the map and kill Israeli civilians. That's action of a terrorist group.
Yeah, but
Israel is a state with sophisticated intelligence. Let me finish this point. A state with sophisticated intelligence, reputed to have one of the best intelligence agencies in the world. It also has some of the best troops in the world. It has some of the best technology, military technology available in the world. Israel has the capacity to go in and do surgical operations, not blanket bombings and killing of civilians. In surgical operations, Israel will inevitably kill some civilians, but that cannot be avoided, even a surgical situation. But to avoid mass killing of civilians, which is taking place now, is totally unacceptable.
Yeah.
Well, Ambassador, let me tell you something. I stopped watching it from I see babies,
Oh, come on. Of course.
from I see children,
The most depressing situation.
from I see
Thank God.
sick people,
We
doctors and nurses.
Yeah.
I say,
Yeah, but
to hold my
then
whole
I
sanity,
want my government to be
hold my whole
unequivocal.
sanity. I said, close that down. I can't take
Well,
that.
I understand that perfectly well, sir, but I want our government to stand up for principle, for humanity, because the situation of Hamas is utterly wrong. The situation of the ultra-Zionists who are taking over the West Bank, equally wrong. Yes, and I can't believe that we don't use economic power, political power, military power to broker peace rather than to stoke war.
Yeah, but if you have warring agents, how are you going to get peace to them?
I want my permanent representative, my Minister of Foreign Affairs, my Prime Minister, to come out so clearly to say Jamaica don't defend none of that. Jamaica love Israelis and we love Palestinians. Yes?
Yes.
See how we live in Jamaica? we want to give every moral suasion we can towards that. And we said to you further that don't take on a war and on the problems and make life harder in Jamaica. That is the message me were here in New York. What you say, Ambassador Ward?
A very good message. A very good message indeed. The Prime Minister and the Foreign Minister need to be very, very clear. They need to be unequivocal about their position. And having not voted, make it even more urgent for them to do so.
Why not voting? Why not voting is stronger than speaking on behalf of themselves in CARICOM? I don't. That's a conflict.
Well, that's a world stage,
That's a
Ambassador
conflict
Ward,
there.
time has run out on us. Thank you as usual. We're really always grateful for your care and attention to this program and for your views expressed. Ambassador Curtis Ward is a retired Jamaican diplomat. He follows the events all over the world with a slant towards Jamaica's and CARICOM's interests. The Ward Post is a blog that he does, and you can check on it and follow it. Well, so, as usual, two deep-seated incidents and issues that we take up on the public eye. Many more local things to speak of.
Yes,
But
yes.
we've exhausted our capacity for today. We thank the Bridge for its availability for the program such as this. Seek for more, and are particularly grateful to you, Jeff, and to all those who make this possible. Till next Wednesday, we sign off on the public eye and return you to the regular programming of the Bridge 99 FM.